Who is Jack Stauber? It's this guy that he makes one of those funny music videos that are trying to think that he makes VHS videos from the 80s or 90s or whatever. Because Jack Stauber lives in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I'm not gonna say his full address, but he lives in Pennsylvania. So yeah, of course.
When you were a kid, did you ever have strange dreams or nightmares that would affect you in a really powerful way, but when you woke up, the memories would vanish? Like a vampire in the sun, all that would be left is unpleasant residue of the terrors you had witnessed. Sometimes perhaps it was even difficult to determine whether or not you were really dreaming at all. Maybe the dreams were real, only your brain was blocking them out to protect you from remembering. Now imagine for a moment that there was an artist who could tap into your mind and show you what you had forgotten. Well, that artist is real, and his name is Jack Stauber. Hello everyone, welcome back to Please Hug Me, I'm Scared, the only show on YouTube where we have group therapy sessions after watching horror movies. If you are one of the few people unaware of who Jack Stauber is, let me bring you up to speed. Jack Stauber is a musician and internet creator who's most well known for his surreal music videos and odd animations that will either make you laugh or make you not be able to sleep at night. So a fun time for everyone involved, kind of like Reddit 50-50. If you're new to the channel, this is actually the second video I've made about Jack Stauber, so go watch that one first. Once again, I've made a list of a bunch of Jack's songs and videos that I think are some of the coolest things that you can watch on the entire internet, and I'm going to show them to you and info dump on you for the next 20 odd minutes. So let's get traumatized together and hopefully come out stronger on the other side. Or, you know, still traumatized. Every song and video I discuss will be linked below. Finally, near the end of the video, I have a little surprise for you. Think of it as a thank you for all of the love that you drenched my last video with. You seem to have inflated my already considerable ego beyond any hope of repair, so thank you for that. But I'm gonna save the surprise till the end. For now, let's talk about work. The list starts off fairly easy with a short video about a guy who works at Job Incorporated. Creative title. Look at this guy. He's just a little guy. Just a calm, cool, and collected guy who knows about business, numbers, and working. Just kidding, he can't focus on anything. I interpret this video as possibly being about ADHD, or maybe just the difficulty of paying attention to a job that you truly despise. The main guy's just sitting there making funny little noises, again, just being a silly little guy, when suddenly his boss walks up and asks him to please shut the hell up. The boss then points out that the guy's computer isn't even plugged in and asks him to get back to work. As soon as the boss is gone, the guy starts stimming again, making little noises, and this is where the video starts to change. Nothing too crazy yet, though. I thought I'd start us all off with something easy. Our perspective shifts, and we get to hear what the guy is hearing while he's making the sounds. His voice becomes a synth, then a drum kit, and then finally he's singing a whole damn song about plugging in his computer. It's beautiful and glorious, and he starts dancing and clapping, and at this point I'm also dancing and clapping along. But then his boss comes back over, and the guy says, "Plug in my computer." Robert.
Oh, sweet cinnamon.
What's hilarious about that is the video says it has a PG rating, so it sounds like the guy was about to say "oh shit" and then he censored himself, which could imply that he's aware that he's living within a video. Another way to look at this skit is how a lot of people are discouraged from following their interests or reaching their true potential because someone else doesn't see or understand the vision. You can go back to the very first clips on Jack's channel and find videos of him playing live music, just his voice and an acoustic guitar. The few people watching don't really engage at all. And if I'm not mistaken, some people even laughed at him. So this skit could possibly be based on Jack's own experience with people not seeing the full vision at first. Let me just say though, anything that I say or imply in any of my videos really is just speculation, and it's just my opinion. I just fixate on things and want to talk about them, and that's what this video and most of my videos are. So if you have any other interpretations of the videos I'm discussing, please keep them to yourself because I am always right. Just kidding, please share them. I'd love to read them. The next video is about why you can never trust pumpkins, especially the ones who can make the boards go rat-tat-tat. The pumpkin song is one of the first of Jack Stauber's creations that truly bothered me. And I've always felt this way about this specific concept. That concept being casual malice, which always feels incredibly evil when it's depicted in any sort of media. The video is animated with a 1930s rubber hose art style. You know, black and white, characters with Pac-Mans for eyes and tubes for arms and legs. A boy peers into a very shady looking house and is encouraged to enter by a grinning jack-o'-lantern. It would be nice if characters in horror stories weren't complete fools, but no, see a creepy, dilapidated house inhabited by a sentient talking pumpkin, and we're just waltzing right in. As he enters, the door slams shut behind him, but he doesn't seem to care. He just kind of matches the pumpkin's energy, and they're just standing there and smiling, and then they start dancing together, and it's honestly kind of wholesome. Then the pumpkin begins to sing, telling the boy about a bunch of wonderful things he can do, which start pretty tame, but suddenly take a dark turn. The music and Jack's voice work incredibly well together as the pumpkin transforms into something evil without missing a beat. Not a lot of media actually bothers me that much, and to be honest, this is pretty tame for a Jack Stauber video, but for some reason casual acts of torture and malice, even if it's something small, when done to someone that's innocent or unsuspecting, it really fucks with my head. Like, it doesn't just bother me, it also makes me sad. It looks positive and then switches up on me. Not only that, but look at this pumpkin. Does this freak look like he's going to apologize for his actions? For his crimes against humanity? No. He looks happy as a bumblebee. Prepare yourself for the lamest joke I've ever made. I'm going to squash this squash.
And here I am with a pumpkin, very innocent and normal, because y'all know what us guys be doing with pumpkins, and oh wait, what's this? Oh, huh.
Are you a fan of the Great British Baking Show? Do you enjoy watching people cook food? Huh? You like that? Well, get ready for Cooking with Abigail. The clay can walk, the figs can talk, and young girls can be exploited for cash. You know, the problem with this video is it gets stuck in my head really easily. Does anyone else have this problem? Like, it gets stuck in your head like an earworm and you can't stop singing or saying said thing?
We are gathered here today to mourn the passing of our good friend and loyal employee.
Cooking with Abigail, having such
What
fun.
are you doing? What the hell was that? We're in the middle of a
Sorry.
funeral. They spent their whole life
Mystery and
serving this company.
This is another case of a Jack Stauber video with really upbeat and catchy music, but a storyline that's really messed up and just gets darker and darker the more you think about it. Abigail is a young girl who hosts a show called Cooking with Abigail, where colorful dinners are made. She has real passion for what she's doing, but we see a strange man looking at her through a window. A talking fig begins to tell her that her dreams to cook are tainted by people who are taking advantage of her aspirations. Her viewers are all creeps, and the money that slides under the door each week is not for what she thinks it is. The main song is replayed, only this time she seems to have lost the joy in her work. She even seems to purposefully screw up her art, because what does it matter if her only purpose was to be objectified this whole time? I think it's interesting how ignorance really is bliss sometimes. Her entire perception changes, and she can't do what she loves anymore without feeling cheated or betrayed. It's incredibly sad. The way the kitchen items talk to each other feels like a fairly accurate representation of the more evil side of Hollywood. How people try to gloss over things or feed your ego so they can control you better, and how the fig character telling the truth got him in trouble, even ostracized. I think it's possible the fig and the other sentient foods are the girl's internal thoughts as she struggles to try and uncover the truth and whether she even wants to know the truth. If you look closely in the background here, you can see hands making a signal. I wonder if the crossed fingers could be referencing lying or manipulating someone, or if they're just intended to be fingers crossed for good luck or whatever. I don't know, it's just interesting. Moving on. Holy Toledo, is that Benny Worm? So he fits in the palm of my hand, yet he does this.
It's Benny Worm.
Make up your mind, Jack. I put this here as a break from the darker stuff. similar to my intention with Nerpo in the last video. Only this time there are no terrifying implications whatsoever. In fact, this one's kind of adorable. We get to meet infamous 6-year-old Benny Worm.
Hold on a second, is that Benny Worm?
Oh yeah.
Holy smoke.
It's Benny Worm.
Who teaches us that being a good friend means taking the time to understand. And that's about it, for real. The main reason this is even here is because a lot of people ended up requesting it on my last video, which reminds me to say, hey. I felt like I was about to flirt with the camera. Okay, let's try that again. Hey, if you have any other videos or songs of Jack's, or really any other artists on YouTube or otherwise that you'd like to see me do commentary on, let me know down below. If a bunch of people request something, I'll probably end up doing it. To me, Benny Worm is just kind of funny. But if I were to look further, I'd say it was about the innocence and whimsy of childhood, and the trusting or caring nature that often comes along with that until it's taken away. The next video I want to talk about is super weird. It might also feature one of Jack's most disturbing art styles, aside from maybe however he made New Normal. Now and Then is a more abstract video than one with a clear storyline, but if I were to take a wild guess at meaning, I'd say it's about becoming your own person. This guy also kind of looks like an Over the Garden Wall character if you squint just right. A thin, pale man slowly walks across a yellow void and finds another creature exactly like him dead on the ground. He kneels down and begins cutting the carcass open as if he's performing an autopsy. As he does so, text appears reversed on the screen in this almost meta moment where someone or something, or maybe even us on the other side of the screen, are supposed to be talking directly to the character with the knife. The reversed words tell him to pack lightly. The man then turns the knife around on himself and cuts his own chest open. Instead of actually showing this, Jack makes the decision to use sound and abstract images to depict the pain. And by doing so, he makes the whole thing that much more visceral. I wish more horror movies did this. The idea of using the design of your scenes to actually force your audience to feel the pain of the protagonist instead of just looking on in terror at something they are removed from is brilliant. We get to see these characters from the inside, and both of their, chest cavities look like shelves instead of organs and whatnot. The carcass on the floor is filled with knickknacks, doodads, and assorted bric-a-brac, while the main guy's chest cavity is empty. He starts grabbing things from the carcass and assimilating them into himself. He specifically takes a heart and a clock, and as he does so, this strange cloud of swirling nothingness appears in his body. He says the word anxious, not really as a question, but more as a realization of his state of being. Then the reversed words appear on screen again, this time reading, "You're excited." I think the voices are trying to tell him that anxiousness is just excitement. He responds,
Yeah, I like that.
but as you can see, his heart doesn't appear to be in it. At this point, he's just telling the voices what they want to hear. He slowly walks away from the body, and the scene ends. Now, I had two main interpretations while watching this, and they both kind of function in similar ways. People learn behavior. They will create a sense of identity using parts from other things, like people, ideas, characters, cultures, places, whatever. And while a sense of self and identity is incredibly important for pretty much any person, most of the time it's a paradox of copying the people you hang out with and the things that you see normalized. In another sense, people change all the time. And when you do, you metaphorically kill your old self and become new. What parts of the old you do you retain? What lives on within you? And what happens when you realize your behavior patterns are a danger to yourself or to others? When the anxiousness is mistaken for excitement, what then? I also had the beginnings of an idea that the video could also be about like mortality and the life cycle, and that it was a lot more straightforward than what I was putting on it, but who knows? Let's continue. Goldie, to me, is an example of an artist creating something for a specific feel more than anything else. A lot of Stauber's work seems like there's a clear story being told, but this video in particular, at its core, is about loss, memory, and time slipping by. We as an audience are given very little concrete information about any of the characters or what's going on, but the point is still conveyed. There are a lot of ways you could interpret what you're shown, so let me give you an example. We see an old man sitting on a porch singing a song as he looks at dusty trophies and seems to reminisce about years gone by. His daughter breaks his reverie and tells him dinner is ready, and he says,
Oh, dope.
He looks around and sees some kids playing in the yard underneath a tree. He finishes his song, and the video ends. The word Goldie is seen carved into the rocking chair and heard in the song. Is Goldie his wife who passed? Is Goldie his daughter growing up? Were the children in the yard real, or were they just figments of his imagination? What is the man mourning? The loss of childhood or a literal death? We aren't given enough information to draw any conclusions, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. The story is about coming to terms with the passing of time. As a side note, this video has a really calming vibe to it. The pacing is slow, and we really get time to ponder exactly what's going on. Plus, we get to listen to this beautiful song.
Take up my storage, it's all yourage. Goldie, Goldie, Goldie-o.
Now let's talk about the exact opposite of Goldie. This one is nuts, and people know it. There have been so many reimagined versions of Bumblebees are out that for all I know, you didn't even know it was Jack Stauber until just now. But this thinly veiled story about child abuse and emotional instability is terrifying and incredibly sad. Quick warning, this covers a lot of topics, including physical and sexual abuse, so just be prepared for that. What makes it even worse is it's left very, very open, so you have like room to extrapolate further, and it just gets worse and worse and worse if you keep thinking about it. So here's the story. A little girl and a person who is likely her father are walking through their house, laughing. The girl accidentally knocks over a vase, and her father's entire demeanor changes like that as his face distorts and turns bright red. He curses at her and tells her to get out of the house. She walks outside singing about flowers and bumblebees as the music turns dissonant and sharp. Along with the music, we see bees stinging the girl as she cries out in pain. It's also pretty easy to miss, but right at the start of the video, there's like one frame where we can see the girl outside with the sting marks and see her father standing directly behind her. There are a lot of interpretations and implications here, but some obvious conclusions are that the father has anger issues and takes them out on his child. It's likely that bees aren't hurting her at all, it's him, which is also a bit of commentary on disassociation. The girl remembers the terrible pain being inflicted on her as bee stings. He's conditioning her to be meek and fearful so he can control her better, and he neglects his legal obligation as a parent by kicking her out. You know, because according to the law, a parent has to provide for the maintenance, protection, and education of his or her child, which includes food, clothing, and all-important shelter. The bees might be metaphorical, and if they are, they could represent the father hitting his kid. Some comments under the video mentioned that it looks like the father's fly is down, which I personally don't see that. However, I do think implications in that direction are very present in this video, and a lot of people have found some sense of comfort's not the right word, but relatability in that interpretation, so I thought I would include it or at least reference it. Some of Jack's most well-known creations are the songs and music videos that he's created to accompany his multiple full-length albums, which you can buy on Bandcamp to support him. And if I'm not mistaken, they're all completely independent, self-recorded, self-published. It's super cool. Also, while on that topic, he's active on Patreon. So yeah, if you enjoy his stuff, let's, make sure that he has the means to keep on making these videos for years to come. The next few projects of his that I'm going to talk about were released more as songs than as short films that sometimes had music accompanying them. Songs like Buttercup and Oklahoma were partially how I originally found Jack in the first place, and it's very possible that even if you've never heard of him before, you may have heard parts of these audios on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, just around the internet. Do you like peppermints? Let's start easy with one of Jack's most fun and relatively normal songs, with the only typical Stauberism being the extreme low fidelity. We get to hear a lighthearted conversation between Jack and a girl named Lexi about the spice content of a peppermint. The undertone of the song is kind of flirty. I don't know, just kind of makes me happy to listen to it. It's almost as if they sound as though they're laughing and smiling while they're singing. It's adorable. The song isn't really about peppermints. It feels like it's about a common relationship dynamic where you don't really know what it is that you're looking for. At the end, Jack asks if he's sleeping on the couch, and Lexi replies, While we're on the topic of peppermint, it's one of 2 songs Jack made that have very, very similar vibes. And now we're going to talk about the other one, Doctor. This one is featuring a girl named Sarah who says she's sick. Jack says he's not a doctor, but that he can help her by prescribing her love and kisses. His diagnosis is that no one has been treating her well. The twist comes when he asks her if she's going to be okay on her own now, and she replies, I think I'm sick again, implying that this is going to become a behavior pattern. Then she does this.
I'm sick again.
A completely innocent noise. I give it 0 out of 10 horns. The whole song feels like an exploration of codependency, but admittedly it's super tame, and I think it's supposed to be more lighthearted than anything else. Both Doctor and Peppermint are void of any kind of disturbing imagery, and the videos make up for it by looking and sounding like infomercials or ads made half a decade ago. These 2 videos have a warm and inviting feeling to them. They're almost wholesome. I don't know, man. I guess I'm just trying to say that these songs are a nice change of pace compared to a lot of the other stuff we're going to be discussing tonight, and the stuff we have already discussed. Anyways, on to the next song, which made me laugh and then uncontrollably cry. Imagine for a moment a world where you were born with a rare and sad disease, where you grow a ham where your head should be. That's the premise of this song. And I know right about now you might be thinking, Daniel, there's surely no way I heard you correctly. Did you say a ham? Yes. Yes, I did. Look at this poor girl. Look at this incredible design. This thing is an eye. One might wonder how someone with literal pork for a face is even remotely human. But Hamantha was familiar with Rene Descartes and often was heard saying, I think, therefore I am. The Ballad of Hamantha is an absurd tragedy about a girl who was different, and her struggles as she attempts to become a famous star and find some kind of cure.
Get it? Another ham pun?
For her condition. The song describes her as a cutie pie with flowing hair and a lovely eye. She is beautiful to many, but her insecurities have stopped her from loving herself. Plus, it's implied that she's having a lot of trouble at school. And then, instead of trying any way to help, her dad goes outside, curses at God, and then shoots a gun into the clouds. This is foreshadowing, so keep it in mind. The song describes Hamantha's dreams as being in the clouds or in the sky, and thus her father is metaphorically killing her dreams. Suddenly, a doctor calls up Hamantha to tell her that he's discovered a cure. All she needs to do is come into the office, and they're going to try it out on her. She runs outside, and with happy tears in her eyes, she races towards the doctor's office. The sheer joy and excitement is palpable, but now the music starts to give us listeners clues that all is not well. It begins to rain as she runs, but something falls that's different than the raindrops and different than the tears. The bullet her father shot at the sky falls down from the heavens and fucking kills her. What? Let that sink in. We cut to the doctor's office sometime later after operations were performed on the corpse of Hamantha. The universe this song takes place in has a strange custom of giving a cooked ham to families going through loss, but it seems they accidentally eat poor Hamantha. Her father killed her dreams, then killed her, and the world took and ate of her flesh while she suffered. So greedy we wanted more. Hamantha's soul soars into space as her tragic story burns like wildfire throughout the land. She becomes a literal and metaphorical star and achieves her dreams in death. And now if you look up at the sky just right, you too might see Hamantha looking back down at you. After all this, I am left with many questions, but one very important one. Why the fuck would they name her Hamantha? Like, it's making me crazy. Did they think they were helping her at all with that little stunt of theirs?
I am so sorry, sir, but your daughter, she was born with hemophilia.
Let's name her Mary.
Okay, that seems like a pretty normal name.
Bloody Mary.
God damn it.
Finally, let's talk about the masterpiece of a song that is Oklahoma. You might notice right at the beginning that Jack references Star Trek, only instead of set the phasers to stun, it's set the phasers to rot. At the beginning, the song feels like a conversation between two friends, sharing experiences and mutually trauma dumping on each other, but they both seem unable to feel much empathy for the other person. Truly the perfect dynamic of invalidation. He asks what has you distraught, and then says that whatever you're worried about is nothing, and you're just looking for attention, negative attention. The song is set at a party for some reason, and the music has like a sad dance vibe to it. Anyone want to go to a liminal space and slow dance to Jack Stauber with me, please? I'm begging. As the song continues, though, my initial interpretation starts to shift. One asks the other to take their clothes off and then take a picture, which could just symbolize vulnerability, but more likely you're supposed to take it literally. And if you were to take it literally, then it twists the already toxic dynamic of their relationship because now one is taking direct advantage of the other. Getting a gray hair for every scare you share might reference the weight or burden being passed over by the person doing the sharing. Gray hairs are often associated with stress, but all of my hair is falling out, so can you tell me what that means, please? The next line is one of the most evocative and ominous in Jack's entire discography. Those weren't meant to bend. The line makes me think of someone bending their limb backwards in a way that's not natural, but I believe it means someone bending over backwards for their friend. The friendship isn't seen as something easy or sustainable, it's seen as something transactional. One person sacrificing everything for the other, and the other being completely unsympathetic. The song might as well be called Thesis on Why Boundaries Are Important. There are a lot of different ways to look at this song, but my main takeaway is go to therapy. You remember how back at the start of the video I said I had a surprise for you? Well, tonight I'm going to try and learn how to be Jack Stauber. I didn't have time to grow out a full beard for it, but I did want to just try and emulate his video style. And it ended up looking something like this.
Hey man, do you want to hang out? No. Sorry, I'm busy. Busy? Busy doing what? I don't know. I'm not doing enough. So I need to do something. Nothing seems to work. But I'll just keep trying.
Jury admitted is acceptance of defeat. Another mortal offering the lace of other seas. Something psychic in your eyelids, something that I cannot describe. Verify the witnesses to disobey the frown. Sentences concocted just to keep the foolish down. Something smiling and beguiling, something that I did not prescribe. Everyone gathered around the eight, stared as God broke free. God told me to put in more effort. God told me to keep occupied. God told me to stay on her good side. God told me as I realized. Today I forgot to keep myself alive.
Huh. Okay, dude. Whatever.
While there is still a lot in this world that I haven't seen, Jack Stauber is a person that I've heavily related to and found a lot of comfort in, from his animations to his music, and I think it's safe to say that his legacy will live on. Each like on this video equals 1 peppermint that someone in the world has to send to their crush. Let's try to get this video to 3,000 likes, and if it does get there, I'll make a follow-up video specifically looking at Jack Stauber's Adult Swim stuff. You know, maybe they probably both deserve their own separate videos, so you know, I guess, yeah, they'll probably both be separate videos. But thank you so much for watching. Be sure to tune in next week, where I run a game of D&D for you, and you think that I prepared this great session and campaign, but in reality, I'm just making it up as I go along. See you around.
You just copy everything we do. If that wasn't me, I'd copy me too.